When it comes to narcissistic relationships, a lot of us have probably heard the idea that we are the ones with the true power, and the narcissist is the one feeding off of the power that we're giving them, and we can take back our power at any time. But I'm sure for most of us, this doesn't seem as simple as it sounds, and we might not even really be able to understand what this even means. So in today's video, I want to break down some really concrete ways that we can apply this idea and explore some concrete ways that we actually can take our power back from the narcissist. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. I first want to preface this video by saying that sometimes the narcissist does have real power over you if they have physical control of you in some way. So I'm not really talking about instances like that. I'm talking about the emotional control that they have over us, which I believe is predominantly the problem that a lot of us struggle with. I also want to say that nothing that I'm going to talk about in this video is easy to do. It's just a process that you can start to engage in once you see these things for what they are. This is something you really have to practice and remind yourself of over and over again as you slowly pull yourself out of the fog of the power that a narcissist has over you. But truly, the power that a narcissist has over you is power that you can let go of. The narcissist manipulates you into holding on to the power they have over you, which in a sense means they really don't have any power over you at all that you can't let go of. And so let's talk about some specific things that you can actually let go of that is a way of letting go of the power that the narcissist has over you. The first thing that we can let go of is the idea that there is a reasonable, rational person hiding in there somewhere. The narcissist's behavior can be so unbelievable, just so petty, so immature, so irrational that it can be very difficult for us to accept that they really are the way they are, that there's not a reasonable person hiding in there somewhere, especially when over however long of a period we've known them, they have seemed to be a reasonable, rational person most of the time. So when you see this extremely irrational, unreasonable person, you think, no, this can't be right. They can't really think this way. They can't really have said what they just said. I've got to find that reasonable person in there somewhere. I know they're in there. And this can really control our emotions. This can take an enormous amount of our energy away from us when we can't let go of the idea that there's got to be a reasonable person in there. This can't really be the way this person wants to act. This can't really be what this person believes. Letting go of that and seeing this person for who they really are and realizing, okay, they have seemed reasonable and rational until I really got to know them, until I started seeing cracks. Now I can see, wow, this person's actually really unhinged when they get a little emotional about something, when they get a little bit stressed. They completely lose all touch with reality. Accepting that and letting go of the need to fight it is very liberating for you. It's a way to keep your power within yourself. When you can accept that someone you thought was reasonable is now showing you that they're actually not a reasonable person, and you can accept that that really is the way they want to act, that that's really the hill they're going to die on, and you're not trying to pour emotional energy into pulling anything else out of that person, it sets you free. It gives the power back to you, and it allows the narcissist to just be the irrational, unreasonable person that they are. When someone is acting unreasonable and irrational and petty and immature, it's not your job to try to show them that they're being this way. It's not your job to try to dig in there and find the reasonable person you thought was in there. It's your job to assert your own boundaries, to observe the behavior of someone, and to accept what they're showing you. Another thing kind of in this same vein, and all these things are somewhat related, but another thing we can let go of is the need to correct a narcissist's misunderstanding. Narcissists can be reasonable and rational when they are not stressed, when things are not offending their ego. But when they start showing you their stressed emotional side that can be absolutely unreasonable, and they start coming up with completely convoluted, irrational explanations to things that aren't even happening, it can be really difficult to just stand back and let them believe whatever crazy thing they want to believe, whatever unreasonable, illogical conclusion they are jumping to. And as many of us learn extremely quickly, any attempt to try to explain reality or try to explain a simple solution to them will only spin you around in circles. And this is because the narcissist is aware of reality. They understand your line of reasoning. They understand your logic. But narcissists interpret reality through their emotions. So you might be saying something to them that makes sense, but to them, it's kind of like they're saying to themselves, okay, what you're saying, it makes sense, but I know you're wrong because I feel like you're wrong. And you will never, ever, ever get them off that line of reasoning. They are aware of reality, but they are choosing to manufacture their own reality. These misunderstandings that they have are things they worked very hard to make up so that they wouldn't have to take accountability for the things that they've done, or they wouldn't have to face reality that they don't like. So these things you're trying to explain to them, these simple solutions, these rational reasonings that you're trying to present, these are things they've worked very hard to avoid. These crazy convoluted ideas that they have are things they created and probably worked very hard on so that they wouldn't have to face the things you're telling them. It's not that they don't understand what you're telling them. They don't like what you're telling them. It's not like they're going to have this light bulb moment where you're explaining something that seems so simple, and it's not like they're going to say, oh, I never thought of it like that. Thank you for explaining that. They're working very hard to not understand. They are willfully ignorant of the things you're trying to explain to them. And so when you invest all this energy into trying to explain something, trying to get through to them, trying to help them understand, you are giving your power away to them. You are allowing them to wrap your emotions up into their fantasy world and into their convoluted, irrational way of avoiding reality. And you can't affect them. You're not going to help them engage with reality. You're not going to help them do anything, but you are going to drive yourself crazy for as long as you keep trying to do that. So this is another thing we can let go of. We can let go of trying to correct their misunderstandings, and we can let go of trying to explain things to them more than once. We can let them think what they want to think. We can let them live in whatever fantasy world they insist on living on, because we can't pull them out of it anyway. And this is very closely related to another thing we can let go of, and that is letting go of the need to defend ourselves, which is a really hard one. So these misunderstandings they have very often are misunderstandings that are unfair to us. Misunderstandings that blame us for things they did, or put us in places we aren't in, or give us intentions we don't have. The narcissist will often misunderstand our tone or something we said or some look we gave them. And now they're convinced that we have some horrible plan against them, or we hate them, or we lied to them, or whatever. And of course, it's really, really difficult to just let that be and to not sit and try to defend ourselves. But as many of us have probably experienced, when a narcissist decides that you're lying to them, or that you hate them, or that you're betraying them in some way, it doesn't matter how crazy and unfair this accusation is, you cannot talk your way out of it. You cannot reason with them. they have an emotional investment in believing this, and usually that emotional investment is tied into their extreme desire to avoid accountability. So if they can find some convoluted way to blame you for something they did, or to project their ugly, uncomfortable emotions onto you, you know, maybe they're lying to you, maybe they hate you, maybe they're betraying you, but they don't want to deal with that. So they imagine you're the one doing all those things. They're emotionally invested in that, and you are not going to talk them out of it. And the harder you try, the more they're going to be convinced that, wow, you really seem to be hiding something. The harder you try to defend yourself, the more guilty you look to them. And, you know, that's great. That just builds their case more. And then it just drives you crazy. Of course, it's more than natural to want to defend yourself against baseless, unfair accusations. But just know that when you start to get caught in this cycle, that this is power the narcissist is taking away from you. Your need to defend and explain yourself. And the narcissist is emotionally invested in coming up with reasons to believe that you are the bad guy. And they are not going to listen to you. They understand your line of reasoning. They understand what is real, but they're emotionally invested in the things they're accusing you of, in believing the things they're accusing you of. And it's just not worth your time and energy to try to defend yourself against it. And it doesn't matter what they think. It really doesn't. They live their whole lives thinking that everyone else in the whole world is out to get them, and that everything is someone else's fault, and that they are this poor helpless victim that everyone's always picking on. You're no different. They look at everyone that way eventually at some point in time, because it's how they get through life without having to face any accountability. And it really is a very empowering way of taking your power back, to just let them be that way. Let them believe that you're this treacherous traitor. Another thing that we can let go of is the need to be good enough for them. This is connected to their desire to avoid accountability and the way that they have to blame everything on everyone else. But many of us can be very, very caught up in this game of trying to please them, trying to do things the right way, trying to be good enough for them, because, you know, they breadcrumb us. They have these moments where we are good enough and we get intermittent praise and affection and attention and the things that we need. And then, of course, the next day we start all over again from square one, trying to prove ourselves. We're stuck in this cycle of constantly trying to prove ourselves to the narcissist, trying to show them that we do care about them. We don't hate them. We're not lying. We didn't do these things they accused us of. And we are good enough. We can listen. We can do what they want. Just give me another chance to prove myself over and over every single day. If you could ever really be good enough for the narcissist and stay that way and not have to start all over from square one the next day, like Groundhog's Day, they wouldn't have anyone left to blame for their insecurities and for all the horrible things that happen to them because of the bad choices they make. And also, narcissists have to believe that they're superior to everyone, that they matter more than anyone, and that their whims are the most important thing in the world, and their disappointments are your fault. So in order to truly be good enough for the narcissist, you would have to just hope, cross your fingers, that nothing bad ever happens to them and that they never feel disappointed about anything. Because the minute they do, it's going to be your fault, and you have no control over that. And so letting go of this need to please them and to be good enough for them is very liberating, because it's really a waste of time. Like I keep saying, even if you do please them, you have to start all over again the next day, because nothing you do ever counts for longer than you're doing it. So trying to be good enough for them, trying to hit that mark, trying to impress them, trying to please them is one of the hugest energy drains, biggest wastes of time you could ever engage in. And letting go of that and just letting them judge you, just letting them be upset with the way you tie your shoes, or just letting them hate the dinner you made, or whatever, is so liberating, because what they think of you really doesn't matter, and you're never going to really be good enough for them anyway. Another thing that we can let go of is the promises that they have made to us, or the dreams they put in our head, the things that we're looking forward to, the reasons we're hanging on. This is a really hard one, I think. And I'm not just talking about future faking. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking of future faking right now, which, to anyone that doesn't know, is just when the narcissist promises you things like a promotion at work, or getting married, or getting a job, or whatever, but they never actually do it. It never actually happens. They just keep dangling this carrot in front of you. Sometimes narcissists do deliver on these things. Narcissists do marry you, or give you a promotion, or whatever. And so this isn't just about future faking. This is about hanging on to someone for something that you're looking forward to, something you're emotionally invested in, something that feels like it's going to be worth all this time you're waiting. And this is always something that the narcissist has control over, and the narcissist will do when it serves their needs, when it benefits them. This is usually something that, if it ever happens, the narcissist will then hold over your head. And this is usually something that you build up in your head to be much better than it actually is. I've mentioned a couple times the idea of this being a narcissistic boss promising you a promotion. I recently talked to somebody who had a narcissistic boss that kept promising him a promotion that never really happened. And he said, you know, sometimes somebody else would get promoted, or some opportunity where a promotion might have happened would just slide by, and there would always be some excuse or some reason that, oh, it can't happen right now, but maybe later. And I asked this person, okay, if you had actually received this promotion, if this had actually happened, would you still be working under this narcissistic boss that you had? And, you know, he said, yeah. And I said, do you think this promotion was actually something that you would have wanted? If it had actually happened, do you think it would have actually been a good thing? And he said no, that he wouldn't have wanted to work under her. I mean, he was already working under her, but that this promotion she was dangling in front of him would have actually been a terrible thing if it had happened. And I think that for a lot of us, these things that we're holding on to, these things we're waiting for, if they actually happened, maybe we want to have kids with this person, or we want to go on some dream vacation, or build a home with them, or build a business, or whatever. These things, a lot of the time, if you really think about it and you really ask yourself, is this really the person I want to do this with? I think a lot of us might be able to see that no, absolutely not. That these things that we're looking forward to, these reasons we're hanging on, a lot of these things will actually just dig us deeper into this hole of being stuck with this person that has so much emotional control over us. And I think with future faking and also holding on for things that maybe actually will happen, it might help to think about the fact that with a narcissist, these things are vague. The narcissist maintains control of these things. We don't really know what's going on. It's just this vague dream that's been put in our head. With the example of the narcissistic boss, I said to this person I was talking to, you know, if she wasn't a narcissist, she would be more realistic with you. She would say there's this promotion that you might be eligible for at some time, but this and this and this has got to happen, and maybe there will be other candidates that will be a better fit. You know, instead of dangling a carrot that she had complete control over and putting ideas in his head, she would have been more transparent, more realistic about the chances of it happening. Instead of using it as leverage to control his emotions and keep him hanging on, she would have just communicated exactly what was going on and what the chances of it happening were. And looking back on circumstances I've been in my life, I think I would rather look forward to big things happening with someone who doesn't use my dreams as leverage to control me. And I think letting go of these things we're hoping for, these dreams that they promised us or put in our head, is something very liberating that can give the power back to us and can free us to look for these dreams either through ourselves, making these things come true, or with someone who actually cares about us and isn't going to play games with us. Another thing that we can let go of that can be very liberating, but very, very difficult and very painful, is letting go of the person that we thought we were with, or letting go of the person that this person was supposed to be. I think a good example of what I mean by that would be a narcissistic mother. I mean, society promises us the things that a mother is supposed to be, the things we're supposed to expect from a mother. And when your mother really doesn't care about you and doesn't care how much they're hurting you, when a mother isn't the things that a mother is supposed to be, it's really, really difficult to accept that, because it seems like that's supposed to be a given. We could say the same for a romantic partner that's promised us that they love us and that they care about us and that we can trust them. These are the things they are supposed to be. And these realities are things we're supposed to be able to rely on. And it can be really, really hard to let go of what someone promised us they were, what someone pretended to be, or what someone was supposed to be. And of course, you know, we are social creatures. And when someone is supposed to be someone that loves us, someone we can rely on, someone that's part of our circle, it's not easy to just wake up one day and say, oh, this person actually doesn't care about me at all. This person's been lying to me. This person is abusive. This person would just as soon throw me off a bridge as look at me. I mean, it's not easy to accept that from someone that we're emotionally invested in, someone that we probably still have feelings for and an attachment to. But letting go of the vision we have of this person, as hard as it can be and as much time as it might take, is very liberating, and it is a way to take our power back, to see people for who they really are, and to accept what they're showing us. When they show us that they don't care, when they show us that they don't mind hurting us and abusing us, to see that that is who this person is. Even when, in many cases, we get little glimpses here and there of the person that we hoped to see, that doesn't make up for the person they really are. You know, if somebody's nice to you 9 days out of 10, but on the 10th day they treat you like garbage and they hurt you and they insult you and abuse you, that's what really matters. And that's the day they're showing you what's really underneath it all. That's the day they're showing you how they're always going to treat you when they're stressed, or when they feel insecure or threatened in any way. They're showing you that that's how they're going to handle their bad days. They're going to take it out on you. That's the kind of person they are. Even though it probably completely goes against everything that we were sold, everything we thought we had, and everything they were supposed to be. And accepting that is very painful, but extremely liberating. And it can free us to find relationships with people that truly do care about us and who really are the people they present themselves as. One more thing we can let go of, which is also extremely difficult, much easier said than done, but it is to let go of the need to teach them a lesson. The anger that we feel towards some of the things that narcissists do is completely understandable and completely warranted, and it can be completely overwhelming. These people can be just unspeakably awful. They can ruin our lives for their own convenience and then turn around and act like we're the instigator, we're the bad guy, and tell everybody that it was all our fault. After all we did was try to love them and bend over backwards trying to please them. I mean, it's so hard not to be angry, and sometimes not to be angry for a very, very long time. And this is totally natural and totally understandable and normal. And so I guess I just want to give empathy to this. I know that this is a difficult subject for a lot of people, but practicing letting go of this anger is something that can be very liberating. And I want to explain what I mean by this. I think that this idea of forgiveness, which I don't really like to use that word, but society and culture can sometimes feed us this idea that forgiving people that hurt us, and letting go of what they've done to us, letting go of the anger, is like a good thing to do. Like, it makes us a good person. It's something we're supposed to do. And that holding on to anger, holding a grudge, makes us somehow a bad person or somebody who's doing a bad thing. And if we learn to forgive somebody that did something awful to us, who isn't sorry, that somehow makes us a good person. And I think I don't like this line of reasoning or this narrative at all, because I believe that there are people in this world that absolutely do not forgive or do not deserve forgiveness at all. There are things that people do that are just never going to be okay, that are just awful, and these people don't deserve forgiveness, period. But forgiveness and letting go of anger isn't for them, it's for you. And it isn't because it's the right thing to do or it makes you a good person. Learning to let go of this anger frees you. You have the right to feel this anger. You have the right to hold this grudge. This is a natural, normal reaction to some of the things that a narcissist can do to you. But ultimately, it only harms you to hold on to this anger. It doesn't make you a bad person or even a weak person. It just makes you somebody that's holding on to something that is only hurting you. Learning to let go of it is one of the most liberating things you can do, as difficult as it might be. And I think one way to think about this is a narcissist doesn't deserve your forgiveness. Or most of them. I don't know what the narcissist in your life did to you, but I would guess most of them probably don't deserve forgiveness. But they also don't deserve your anger. They don't deserve that emotional energy that's tying you up, that's eating you up, that's taking up your mental space and capacity, that's taking energy that you could be spending on healing and building better relationships, and leaving this person behind you and letting go of that anger, and really seeing that this person that you had the misfortune of running into just isn't worth another second of your time or energy. And that even if you could somehow teach them a lesson or get revenge on them, there is no justice for what this person has done. There is no way to right this wrong. And they aren't going to learn any lessons, and they aren't going to be sorry. And even if you could get revenge somehow, they would only see that as confirmation that they are a perpetual victim and that everyone's always picking on them. There is no way to right the wrongs in someone else's head. And it is such a waste of your time and energy to try to think of ways to do that on someone who's just not worth it. So that one takes, I think, a lot of time and practice, but to see someone for who they really are, someone that never had the emotional capacity to be who you needed them to be, someone who is shallow and immature and unreasonable and petty and doesn't have the ability to build a quality relationship, doesn't know how to interact with people in a healthy way. To see them as who they really are and as someone who doesn't deserve any more of your emotional energy, I think is a better way to look at it than this idea that you're supposed to forgive people. And the last thing that we can let go of is the idea that we need this person in our life, that we somehow can't get along without this person, whether this person is our boss or our mom or our significant other or our best friend. When we are with someone that leverages our hopes and dreams in order to use it as emotional control over us, when we're with someone who abuses us and neglects us and then keeps us around by giving us breadcrumbs of the person we hoped to see, or the person we hoped that they were, when we're around someone who uses us for their own benefit when it benefits them, keeps us on the hook, keeps us hanging on to the control they have over us, we are with someone who is always going to be a net negative. Your life is better off without someone that does this to you. Always. Even when there are some great risks and sacrifices that you might need to consider and prepare for, your life is better off without somebody that treats you this way. You don't need this person in your life. You don't need the promises they've made to you to come true. You don't need them to be reasonable. You don't need them to finally see you and understand you. You don't need them to give you the affection and care that you always hoped for. You don't need anything from this person, and this person's never going to give you any of those things that you really needed from them. And when you let go of the idea that this person has anything good to offer you, that's when you truly take your power back. I hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for me for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.